Okay, so we are online. I'm just going to super. Okay, so we are online. Just going to mute myself. All right. If you're watching me live, give me a thumbs up. Tell me if I'm audible, visible, just to make sure that my logistics are correct. All right. I welcome you to day 17 of Unlocking EQ Brain Talents for Busy Moms. And this is a series to help you develop emotional intelligence using brain skills and brain talents. We will be doing 100 days of talking about different 30, 40 skills from emotional intelligence related to your left brain and right brain. We will go deep and wider. Along with that, I will also give you some awareness quiz bundles, which with the bundle will have all the necessary skills that we have been talking, that related quiz as an awareness session. After you take this, after you have watched this session, and there's also a podcast coming on to you with the same topic in a different version, which means we will deep dive into deciphering left brain strategies and right brain strategies in a very shorter time. Apart from that, there is also article coming to you through Substack platform in a very storified format. So I will, impart knowledge on emotional intelligence as a skill, as a competency, giving you a story around it. And you will understand and be able to relate as to how you can apply those skills in your daily life. With this free resource, it's available to you, coming on to you at the comfort of your home. Please make sure that you use this. Initially, it's required that if you can subscribe to these channels, it'll be easy for you to get notified whenever I'm coming online or whenever there is a podcast happening. So subscribe to my YouTube channel for YouTube Live, and all the other, there are many other free resources available, and Spotify for a podcast, and also subscribe to Substack for articles. All the links are given below. Okay. I will also be giving you more rewards and freebies for those people who have been consistently listening and recording your insights. Without much delay, we will deep dive into yet another episode on critical thinking skills to avoid pitfalls in your life and at work. As a busy mom, it's important to handle all dimensions very easily, smoothly. In order to enable you to function at your optimum, it is important to exercise these skills in depth. Today, we will see three angles while you are be able to critically think. You can, start flagging the red spots, right? Wherever you have a pitfalls, you'll be able to, have the red flags over them. You will be able to recognize so that you can avoid them in the future, and you will be able to stay calm under pressure, and also be able to um, strategically decide and move forward. To avoid stagnation because of pitfalls or a setback, it is important to be on your feet, be agile, and embrace the left brain and right brain capacity. All right, I'm going to be sharing my presentation. That'll give you, all right, super. Okay, so as I said, this uh, the series is to enable your understanding when it comes to how you're going to manage your left brain and right brain. It is important to be in the midbrain, right? Because that is where your prefrontal cortex is activated, and that is the executive center in order to make a smarter decisions. Okay. So while we are going to drive logic, logic will lead it, but then the brain is backed up by emotions. That is when you're emotionally intelligent, right? Your intelligence is not driven out of only logic. Your intelligence should be driven out of emotions as well. So we are going to consider emotions as data while we are dealing or developing emotional intelligence. It is not something that only for these sessions we are using. If we, in life itself, if you are able to take data from emotions and decide through logic, then you will be able to take a smarter decisions. Okay. How, where, when, all these we will see one by one. And there's a particular format. There are 6 steps that we follow for each session. So the introduction have been given for the series in the previous episodes. And also we have dealt with a very key skill set like resilience. We went deeper into resilience, talking about logical, emotional resilience and resilience for parenting, leadership, entrepreneurs. Similarly, we went through the problem solving skills for all these dimensions, critical thinking skills. We also saw emotional agility and the need for emotional insights. We're covering one by one, wider and deeper. It is highly recommended for you to go and watch the previous episodes to be able to connect the dots. Okay. And also subscribe to my podcast where you can just put your headphones and, on the fly, on the go, you can just listen to the same topics in a different version, a very fast track version. Okay. All right. So if you want to stay ahead, okay, avoiding common pitfalls without with critical thinking, then you have the edge in the market. Okay. Now, this series is a guide to busy moms like me and you. The reason why I pick up this topic is whatever is essential for us to manage within ourselves and outside, those are the skills that we will be discussing in this 100 topics, 100 days. Now, this particular topic, even though we have seen critical thinking as an introduction, we are deep diving into each and every topic to understand what angle can it help us. Because we're juggling with multiple roles, we might be foreseeing or we might be overlooking on certain things. So it is important to make sure you may be a logically driven person that you are only thinking person not doing, or you may be a creative person that you like to do, keep your hands on, rather than hearing or listening to something. You are an action oriented person. In either ways, there could be missing elements, and that can be overcome only when you have the necessary awareness around you. Okay. Now, if you want to stay ahead in the competitive world, it is important to be equipped with not just awareness, also be able to apply and create your own direction. You should be able to create your own options, taking into consideration of multiple perspectives. That is how you can be innovative, creative, and upbeat in this fast-paced environment. Okay. With being said that, in this topic, we will see how we can spot the red flags in terms of understanding the pitfalls. First of all, if you are not aware of the existing pitfalls, you may not be able to see the future pitfalls also. So you will not be able to prepare or plan ahead. You cannot be agile because it will stagnate you. It will not make you move forward. By the time you hit by setback, it is important to bounce back like a pro. Remember, we did this in the second episode. So emotional intelligence is not a standalone skill. It is a combination of everything and all are subsets. So it is important to have everything, going hand in hand, either through mental. You should be able to recollect whatever we are speaking. Your learning should have been that way that you can bring back those learnings during the stressful moments, need of the heart. That is why this awareness. Just by getting aware or being aware is not enough. Only when you start applying this awareness, transform into results. And that being said, second point is we are going to see the importance of questioning the assumptions in order to um, activate your critical thinking. This is the second step. And then the third step is to staying ahead of the game. In these 3 angles, we'll see what are the strategies which is going to help you. Okay. Now, what is avoiding common pitfalls means? That only means you will be able to recognize identify the potential problems before they could occur. Okay. And it is also like the existing problems. If you are overlooking the current problems around you, if you have a blind spot saying you may have a weakness, you will have your flaws, everybody has it. or the people around you has flaw, or a situation currently you're dealing has some improvements, needs some improvements. If you don't, critically think about this, work for your long term, or work to the point B that you want to reach, the point A will be a short sight for you. It's a similar way when you're working towards point B. If you're very clear with your point A, but you cannot foresee what is the pitfalls could happen in the point B, then your journey might be a little adverse. Okay, you might have a different adventure while you're going through. While adventure is good, if only you're prepared for it. Okay, so initially it is important to recognize that, and then when you know there is a pitfall, when you know there is a problem, it is important to analyze, carefully examine situations, and question that assumptions. Okay, and then comes decision making. Make well informed choices to stay ahead. That's what I said. Even if it's an adventure, if it comes to you impromptu all the time, you will not be ready. Our energy, bandwidth, or, the thrill is only for some time. Many times, emotion can be a backup data. But if it is going to be forerunning, then it's only going to be draining. Because not always a person can be behind uh, adventure. Not always it can be a spontaneous. While life gives you that opportunity, and it is important to be in the flow where you embrace the spontaneity around you, being in the present moment, to be embracing whatever comes across. But it is quite essential that you need to work from here, which means you should have a foresight to see when you walked through that path, you should be able to recollect, review, reflect on what mistakes you've done. And it is smarter, even more smarter, to learn from other people's mistake. Thereby you're able to understand, analyze the trends, the previous experiences, and the present growth, and the future expectation, all that into consideration. And then arriving at a decision making is going to be a well-informed decisions. So you don't hit by surprise. Now, why is this important? Without this, what's going to happen is you're going to risk making decisions based on assumptions only. You're going to follow the crowd blindly. You're going to ignore the potential risk. Imagine if you are with a high stake, decision making job, okay, or you're dealing with many children, and it is important for you to critically think through. And then when you're moving to a different country or a different location, you need to figure out what kind of schooling is suitable for your kid and for your family, for your logistics needs, and also for a long term. And with high stake employment, or when you're in business, it is highly important to analyze the market trends, regulation, customer satisfaction level, their journey with you, in disruptions happening in the market in terms of technology, climatic conditions, um, present locality based decisions, rules, and laws. So these are not just going to be a daily part of it, but if you are bringing into awareness while you're making decisions, then it's going to largely help you take the informed decisions, so that there will be not much loss, not much failures. Loss in the sense it could be not just monetary, it can also be loss of time, loss of benefits, loss of energy, loss of resources, people, relationship. Now, with critical thinking, you're going to identify those pitfalls earlier and make informed decisions and stay ahead of the time. That is all we want. Whether we are handling work or business or family also, don't we need our family to be at peace? That, hey, you know what? We thought through at least. That way, it's okay. I mean, we couldn't make it to the point. At least we were appropriate. We could manage and plan, right? Not necessarily that everything, be with 100% closure. At least we were closer. 98, 99 is also good, because perfection is myth. By now, if you have been watching these episodes, I would have made it very clear perfection is myth and progress is real. So emotional intelligence is a work in progress. We have never arrived in emotional intelligence. Like we are not mastery. We're not getting into the mastery level, and it is a myth, because mastery level, according to brain tools, brain profiles, the reports will tell you there are mastery level, no doubt about it, but those mastery level can happen in one or two skills, right? When we talk about emotional intelligence, I am certified from a international organization called 6 Seconds. They are pioneer in emotional intelligence, and they have developed this cognitive tool. It's a psychometric tool, AI driven, globally accepted. It is available for all gender and all age group. Now, because the reason why I say all age group is brain is common and brain has two sides. All of us have left side and right side working simultaneously. So, and it depends on the individual which one they are dominantly using it. Now, based on that, the talents in that side will get worked out day in and day out. It is almost going to an autopilot mode. Now, in autopilot mode, what's going to happen? One advantage is it is getting you efficiency because you're able to, you're an expertise there because it's like a muscle power, it's like a brain power, it's working to you, right? Consistently without effort. Now, sometimes you may have a blind spot in that. You may think that it's working. You may be in an assumption that because it is working, you are on a right path. But sometimes market shakes you up. Life shakes you up. You may not be aware what's going to be, what's going on wrong with you right now if you have a blind spot that you're not being able to reviewing your present status, or you're not an open person to receive feedback around you, because feedback is not necessarily coming from your performance review or when you talk with people. It is constantly happening. The environment is giving you signals. Your own body gives you signals. Your own emotions, if you're aware of your bodily emotional awareness, it does gives you, okay? Even any disease, any ailment for that matter, any discomfort in your body is a signal to look at your emotions underneath, okay? That is for a different topic. We will be touching upon that. In essence, what's going to happen is um, everything is connected, and critical thinking is, we're not expecting you to go mastery level, because the more a person goes extreme to the left side, it is not possible for them to quickly come to the midbrain, because as I said, midbrain is where you're deciding smartly using your intelligence and emotions. It's the same thing when you're right side, creative, more creative, and not no action, or no logic behind it. It's only going to be um, leading you to loss of a lot of things, because you just cannot depend on only creativity and innovation, leaving the logic behind it. Maybe there are risks involved in it. There are people involved in it. So their morale is important. Their emotions is important. You need to address that. And maybe sometimes finance budget, your resources, you will have jurisdictions. So all these play under logic. You'll have to consider that, right? Okay. Now, there are some statistics. So, Stanford University says 68% of successful entrepreneurs attribute their success to strong critical thinking skills. Avoiding business pitfalls. Critical thinking helps prevent common mistakes in entrepreneurship. It is so with your family also. Imagine if you're not thought through something, okay? In your daily transaction, you may have, especially managing time. If you cannot just think through what will be the planned activity for your, maybe you're in your morning time. And if you cannot think through about your meal preparation, or your after school activities for your children, or your home chores, if you're a working person, if you cannot plan through your travel time or work schedules, so that you don't jeopardize the family schedules, there is no planning, there is no logic applied, even though if it's a routine thing, there has to be consideration of everything at every point of time. So it is not rocket science. It is already in us. We have been doing this. We have been exercising this part of brain already. It's just that you're bringing that awareness that you're using this effectively to arrive at a informed decisions. You're using this for a long-term success also. So it is not something you are, very good at it, and you may not be aware of it that it is already a strength in you. We are going to use this strength sometimes for you to be bouncing back. Let's say you're working on your resilience, right? You have a struggle point in it because maybe life is taking over, and then setback after setback, you may be drained, right? So what happens with critical thinking? Suppose critical thinking is your strength. Actually, you can avoid the setback also. If you can critically think through, if you are a person whose strength is critical thinking, ideally the setback, maybe the life takes over and setback cannot be in your control, and that is why there is an adversity. It's still okay, but you will think through there also. You will be able to, create multiple options to come out of it because you have the strength of critical thinking. Suppose you don't have this and you're already in a setback. How can you bounce back? And then there's some other skills should come at your rescue. Maybe you are good at problem solving. So you'll have to use that. So you can solve the problem when you are in adversity, because when somebody is in adversity, it is not just the logic thing. It is also emotionally driven, right? There's a loss of identity. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot fear of insecurity, fear of failure. There could be many things. Maybe people are involved. It is not just your emotions. Maybe somebody is dependent on you, right? You are in a sense of urgency and you need to act on something. You may not be able to critically think. So how can your problem solving work for you? So if you are not applying critical thinking with just solving problem, you're just solving the problem for the sake of getting away from the temporary setback. But what about the long-term thing? What if it was going to loop you in again and again? So you need to have these components to be able to solve a problem effectively or decide on something very smartly. Okay. Then who needs this? If you're watching me online, I can see a few people watching me. Just give me a thumbs up or let me know that you are watching me. I'll be more than happy to give you a shout out and also let you in. All right, super. So who needs critical thinking? It is entrepreneurs, it is professionals, it is parents, actually everyone, right? Because these people are at high stake. And that is the reason I said, as a mom, you may have a couple of roles. You have to constantly juggle with that. And it is important to know which role you're playing also. You just cannot be a parent when you come to a business. You must have solved the problem there and then wear your hat as a business person over there. You may be working multiple, we're all multi-talented people, but actually your brain works single dimension. For you to make your brain works multi-dimension, you must be a classical spiritual person, maybe learned some yoga practices or some advanced brain skills through traditional, practices, which will expand your brain capacity. But if you're not being able to have those sadhana in you and you simply expect your brain should help you, it's not going to help unless and until you're exercising these emotional intelligence skills daily, right? But the need is there even for a school kid. They have to critically think in order to plan up their career right at the age of 12, 13, 14 itself. They may be planning their career plan. In fact, this side of the world, when you're in US or Western side, the preparation is even more progressive. That, obviously back in India, the education, we are top in education in terms of certain curriculum like math and other areas of academic skills. But essentially, what we are asking is, are we developing that skill? Are we making them aware that, hey, you know what? You've been using this critical thinking skills. Or if you're not been, then use that skill so that planning becomes easy or executing becomes easy. So that is the education that we need to bring in, whichever side of the world you are in. Even here, it is progressively undertaken. But are we, as a teacher or as a parent, are we telling them, you know what? Just apply this, then it becomes easy. Or are we encouraging them, this is your strength, why not use this so that it becomes easy? Maybe they are struggling with, let's say, getting emotional insight. You can ask them if critical thinking is their strength, which is a logical competencies. You can tell them through emotional insights, why can't you just embrace critical thinking? For example, they may be really good at taking cues, what's happening inside them, how are they feeling, what are their needs and wants, and they may be good in reading the same thing with others. So all you have to do is just ask them to, while they're able to take the cues, ask them to practice these strategies also. Ask them to break down the problems, or, analyze the problems first of all, also find the pitfalls. You see how you can blend both the logic and right brain in them. Okay. If you stay till, just in few minutes, I'm going to reveal the strategies where which part of the brain you're going to activate. Thereby, it will be easy for you to instruct your child that, or maybe for your own self, tell yourself to activate this when you are in any situation, activate your left brain. For example, breaking down the problems into smaller parts. Immediately, your left brain is activated. And then switch on to the right side to think and create options. Think about creative solutions. Okay. So similarly, there are many ways that you can keep jumping into left and right as long as you are able to take an informed decision. Okay. Now, where is it going to help us in life, in daily life? What's going to happen? Media consumption. Now, discern fact from fiction in the news. Am I not? Is it not true? It is, right, because many times we become gullible because we don't have this critical thinking. We just cannot accept anything at the face value. At least in this generation, kids are not able to. Back then, we just accepted whatever our parents said because we were tuned in such a way that we are not. It's not talking back. It's also not questioning their belief. We just accept it. But then as the we are the luckiest lot that we have been seeing the transition of the entire world. So the new generation is straight away seeking the truth, seeking the reason behind everything. It is important to also attach the emotion and the intention behind why they're doing what they're doing. It is important, it is in our hands, it's our responsibility to balance out both. Give them both the things in one platter, not dismissing the logic, neither dismissing the emotion behind it or the intention behind it. And what about it is important in the highly fast paced, social media driven world, it is important to distinct to see, critically think what is the actual truth behind it? What is the assumption behind it? What is the belief system behind it? And in personal finance, you're going to make wiser choices with your money if you're able to think through clearly, thinking at your feet, even when you're stressed. Financial stress is actually the uh, highest order of stress. With financial stress, everything else gets covered. Without it, you may just see the stress as standalone. It could be only relationship. You may have money because your survival is taken care. You just have to deal with your relationship problem. But if your finance is a problem, it's going to affect everywhere. So it is very important to critically think there. And relationship, communicate effectively, understanding different views. So if your spouse is coming and sharing any idea, instead of jumping and say, even though you know it, or you walk past that, or it may be something that you're aware of it, but instead of jumping to dismiss it immediately, just think through. On the other way around also, you need not accept that as you need not accept that immediately. You can pause and think through, or maybe ask clarifying questions instead of asking why do you have to do, or instead of asking questions which can trigger their ego point or make them feel that they're not valued. That's not the intention behind this. You're going to ask questions on their assumptions, belief systems, intentions, and maybe the need for the change, right? That is where you're going to exercise the skill. And health choices, it is ideally important because evaluating lifestyle and medical advice objectively is very, very important. You just cannot prepare. I mean, in this part of the world, because of lack of support systems, sometimes we compromise because one parent cannot keep planning for 3 meals in a day, continuously, day in and day out. It is almost a fatigued, decision fatigued, situation. Sometimes it's become so mundane that you're constantly, there is no creativity happening after a certain point, right? It's tiring. But when you're preparing a diet plan or your fitness plan, it is important to take into consideration of everybody's body nature, water consumption, the the future goals, right? Not everybody has the same thing. Your child may not need all the weight loss or weight maybe weight gain, but weight loss. Maintaining the nutrition is important for them. But your spouse will have a different goals. So there has to be some critical thinking. It cannot be just one size fits for all. But as a meal, preparing a couple of meals is practically not possible. So again, you'll have to creatively think there, so that in order to balance out the nutrition, it is important to also creatively think. Then, while decision making, weigh options and consequences carefully without thinking through the short term or long term. Is it for you you're doing, or you're also involving others? Or is it emotionally driven, or is it objectively driven? Or is it only doing for now for the sake of it, or you also want to see the long term? How much is the cost? What is the benefit if you do? What is the advantages? It could not necessarily only monetary. It can still be happiness, satisfaction, or time. You just want to spend time, valuable, or you're building a relationship, and that is why you're taking this decision, right? Or you may be, in a detox mode, that you want to just have a minimal of everything, right? But either ways, you need to weigh the options and problem solve. When you're identifying solutions, you need to also analyze risk. You just cannot jump into solutions immediately without analyzing the risk in it. Okay. Now, how do you overcome the barriers in critical thinking? And what are the barriers? Ideally, biases, right? Because identifying and challenging your own prejudices is the killer there. Our own little voices. Are you aware of it? Whenever you want to take a decision, either for yourself or for others, are you aware of your little voice? What is it telling you? Constantly keeps feeding you with negativity, or sometimes it might even give you some cues, intuition. So, are you aware of it? Or essentially, if you're stuck with something, you're a conventional person, you are not ready to change, you should question your biases and assumptions. If you're not able to, if you're not fair and do not have the courage to do it, then you cannot overcome that barrier. It'll be a barrier for other people around you also. So critical thinking cannot be an effective strength in you unless you work out on this. Managing emotions. Do not let feelings override logical analysis. That is exactly what I told you in the beginning itself. While you have to consider the emotions behind it. For example, if you're planning something for your family, you need to understand their likes and dislikes, their short term and long term benefit. You need to put your foot sometimes to tell them that it is essential so people follow. Sometimes negotiation is important, convincing is important, communication influence is important, even in family. But you just cannot get swayed by emotions. You just cannot take, maybe planning a vacation could be taking into consideration of your kids, you know, emotional impact of it. But rest of the areas, maybe in terms of home improvement or schooling decisions, academic excellence or future planning, finance planning, those things has to be logically driven, considering the emotion aspect behind it. Because limbic brain is behind our, the part of the brain, limbic, that's where the seat of emotions, that is behind, biologically, it is behind us, right? What is in front is always prefrontal cortex. And then embracing uncertainty. Also be comfortable with not knowing all answers immediately. That is the biggest barrier, because perfection syndrome is a killer for somebody's growth. It stagnates. It just pulls them down. It makes them rigid. It makes them be in their comfort zone only. That becomes the barrier by itself. Okay. It is important to let it go. It's okay. You can learn from this and take a pattern or wisdom from this experience so that you can rectify for the next one, for which you should be ready to go with being appropriate, because perfection is myth. A lot of things cannot be in our control. On that note, you just cannot take the burden on you and then beat yourself up, right? Or overwork on yourself. What happens in critical thinking in business? You're going to identify opportunity, right? That will help you spotting the new market trends also. If you can, if you receive a feedback, if you have that mechanism of receiving feedback from your customer, you need to think through. Okay, are they really happy? What is the score saying? Why have they reduced the score? And why the frequency of that customer, jumping in? If you're dealing with, digital business, it is ideal to watch your numbers because your numbers will tell you. In fact, your numbers will indicate the emotions of your customers or your performance. Okay. Evaluating risk, assess potential challenges, and make decisions, choose the best course of action. Without understanding the risk in it, you will not be able to know what is the best option. And at the same time, you will have to choose the best course of action only when you have gone through the options, like you have an options, from there you picked up the right choice. Suppose you don't have an option, do you think it will be a right choice? It will not be a right choice. Earlier, maybe um, a century back, there could be only few, choices around because the awareness or exposure is not. But over here, when we are sitting in this part of, I mean, after pandemic, everything is changed, right? At least after pandemic, world is not same. Let's not go to previous decades. So one cannot say that they are not sure about options, right? If you just search the search engine is going to throw you options like anything. And then there is AI tools for you to pick up options. It's just up to you. If you're very stuck, if you're not a technology driven person, you will stagnate. You will not even embrace the options near your eyes. Okay, that could be a barrier. Then critical thinking in parenting, taking balanced decisions, considering long-term impacts of parenting choices is equally important, right? A mother talking to a teenager is just not for now. Every conversation is intentionally aligned to the long term. Am I right? Touch your heart and say, how many of you are parents here, especially with, mid schooler and high schooler, whenever you talk, whether you're a dad or a mom, you always talk in your mind looking at the long term benefits of your child, right? You're just not going to tell any options for them which will not be benefited for their long term. And at the same time, you will also be able to tell them how much they can enjoy life right now. What are the options left for them to, embrace and walk forward without getting stagnated? You motivate in such a way by looking at the current options, right? So it is important to see long term and short term and constructive approach. Address behavior issues thoughtfully and not reactively. In fact, address the problem, not the person. Okay. Sometimes you might have to look at the person and not the problem because the source of the problem could be with the person, and that can only come to your rescue, come to the surface when you start reading the emotions behind it. That is why emotional intelligence, right? Consistent rules, establish and maintain fair and logical guidelines so people are having a creativity, the clarity is there and direction is there. If a person has, whether it's family or a team or you are in your business, dealing with your customers, maybe your customers could be new people, batch entry, people after people, but if your process is clear, if the direction is clear, you don't have to be there. It is ideal if you can automate those things. That is why in my business module, I will be talking about how to automate your business. But with EQ, I'm actually making you equipped so that you can automate your life transactions. By how? By learning all the skills. If you can derive a guideline for your family, maybe it could be a routine, it becomes clear in them in the initial time. If you can make it clear and then give them a direction, then it's going to be a routine. It's like an autopilot without any problems. You might have to just review them once in a while to understand how it is going. So, similar fashion, if you can have some automation like this running in your business or your work or your kitchen, wherever you're working, that's how we are naturally when it comes to parenting and family chores, right? We usually automate because it saves our energy and time. We want to be efficient there. It's the same thing that you're going to apply with work or business or when dealing with people, because that's where we get trained. We do not know for our own self, we are very clear this is what we want, but when it involves with any one person also, whether it's a kid or your spouse, we jitter because we are not ready to apply the same strength there. Or maybe I understand it could be a given, but from your side, you can leverage your strength because their strength could be different. You just have to complement each other, for which you need to learn their strength. You need to be aware of their strength. And it's the same way with the other person. It's a given, taken. It's a two-way. That is how you can create a win-win. It is just not possible only the mom does, or it is just not possible only the dad does, or it is just not possible only the child gives in. It has to be win-win. What are the advantages? Now that you know, it is, important. Now this advantages is simple, that it lets you take a better decisions. It gives you an informed choice and lets you avoid mistakes and increase innovation. Suppose you're able to avoid mistakes and you're able to take greater choices daily, on a daily basis. It becomes habitual in you. What is the result? You're going to gain more time. You're going to have more clarity, bandwidth, energy, resources, right? You save a lot of things. With that, what are you going to do? You will eventually grow. For that, you might venture into innovation, right? That is how you build your creativity. Creativity cannot happen when everything is clouded. So you need to create that space, okay? And it's not that it cannot happen. The reason why we are learning all this is to make you feel calm under pressure also, so that you can switch and either create options or lean on to data analysis, right? That is possible. But when you're in the beginning stage, it is important to, practice with clarity, awareness, and then step into manage that. And life takes over, okay? When the setback is happening, you just cannot wait for awareness to come in and then start acting. You need to act on it and learn from that mistakes. But again, you will have to get the necessary awareness through the wisdom that you gain with your experiences. If you cannot reflect and recourse it, recorrect it, then it is a difficult thing for you to handle that in the next, incident, because life does throw. Unless it is fixed, it is going to just chase you. And that is the reason avoiding pitfalls. The topic is avoiding pitfalls, not just now, in the future also. Okay. Now, what is the disadvantage of overusing this? That is the angle that nobody talks about it, right? But EQ is necessary that way. I told you we are dealing with brain skills, where emotional intelligence skill itself is not a mastery one. The aim is to bring you to the functional mode so that you're in midbrain. One, if you keep on thinking, critically thinking, it's going to take time. You may not be able to take actions, it will delay, especially in the fast-paced environment. It's very important to rapid problem solving. We saw this as an episode, right? You will go and see that you will understand the main element for you to become a rapid, quick problem solver is critical thinking. But if it's going to be overdone, all right, then it is not allowing you to solve the problem only. Over analysis also, risk of overthinking and missing opportunity. By the time you want to think and act, somebody would have gotten your opportunity, grabbed your opportunity. And then resistance. Others may prefer familiar approaches over new solutions also. That could also be there. So you need to constantly question your biases and assumptions. Maybe you're overlooking at the present resources that you have, current strength that you have. That is the reason I said maybe there's already critical thinking could already be a strength for you. You will have to just leverage and apply that to the area of improvement to see how it is complementing. It's the same thing when you're involving with people. So when you think there is a resistance, you just be open to take feedback. You cannot work in blind spots. It's the same way around. They should be able to take your feedback, open, receive, transparency, and with some amount of fairness and courage. Only then stagnation will not happen. There will not be any pitfall. You'll keep moving. Now about strategies, okay? Now the first thing is, how do you approach? Now that we know the importance of it, we know who needs it, and we also know in what is the barriers to it. What do we do if we overdo it? All that is actually set. Now you're going to get into action in terms of developing this. So the very first thing that you have to do is what? Identify the assumptions. You're going to question that belief. It could be belief or bias or assumption. Just you're not taking it just like that. So you're going to challenge what you think you know also. It is not the unknown one also. It is something that whatever you know is also something you question constantly. Because as time changes, as you grow, as life takes you over, for example, parent is evolving. It's not, never we arrive in parenting. We just cannot say we are great parents, right? Till we live, the day when we die, we are still evolving, right? So we're going to constantly think, and we have been, the world is also evolving. The person we are dealing with, whether it's child or a spouse or any family member, that person is also going through their journey. So where is the question of fixing anything? There is no fixation. It's evolving. Everything is changing. But you need to constantly question. Again, not overdoing it. The intention is not to question their ego, not to question their status, or in fact, you will have to question the status quo, not the person. Okay? Verify that information. Seek evidence to support or disapprove assumptions. It will be the same with you. Whenever you want to implement something, verify your own evidence, whether it is, correct, valid, is it required, is it intentional, is it helpful for you and for people around. All these validation has to be taken. And avoiding bias, recognize and mitigate personal bias in decision making, not getting swayed by personal interest or emotions within yourself or by others. Okay. And then analyzing risk, because you need to spot your red flags. Am I right? Unless you know this is what is the risky area, you will not be able to manage it when it comes. You will see a lot of people jitter when it is an emotionally charged situations. You know why? Because they have not analyzed this, or they have not thought through that this could be a red flag. They just sit and wait and watch till the emotion gets piled up and explode, either within themselves or with the other person around them, especially with parent and child. If you cannot address the child's emotion then and there, it is only going to pile up in them and it will explode, for which you should be prepared. We will not be prepared because we are not identifying that risk at all. We will not know whether the risk is there or not. If a person who can critically think, they can analyze, they will understand the cues, they will understand the body language, trying to understand why this is not being done, what is wrong with them. Instead of just telling them instruction and then asking them to follow, what if they are the person who's questioning the assumption? Then if you are not the person who is able to answer them because there is no proof and evidence collected, then it is only going to become an endless conflict. It is the same case with your team. You should have proper evidence. You should be able to question your own assumptions before getting any guide, any particular norm to the team. It's the same way with the company. Neither can you accept just like that, right? You need to constantly question the status quo, not getting afraid of anybody's status. Or, it's quite possible that we are driven with the, that we are salaried employees, so we have responsibilities, we are sensitive about not losing them. All that is okay. But at some point of time, you need to question your own, biases. Why are you having that prejudice? And then you will be able to come up with that solution to encounter or face that particular position, okay, that particular bias in you. You're going to assess the probability also. Now, once you have listed possible negative outcomes from it, so these steps will let you know how you can possibly question the assumptions also. Before you do this, first of all, even before you're questioning somebody, remember, if you're talking to an adult, okay, that to a high stake professional with some expertise, maybe you are a beginner, and you want to question them because you have the strength in you. Unless there is enough data, you won't be able to work, which is quite true for even for me. Even though I'm an empathetic person, but I just cannot take everybody's thing and then make own choice, make their choice my choice. I will think through and take my choice based on my intentions, my values, my family needs, my needs, etc. Right now, when you work on these steps, then it'll be easy for you to, come to a situation where you can actually question. What are you going to do is first identify the risk in it, listing out negative outcomes, and then assessing the probabilities. Determine the likelihood of each risk occurring. We all do this whenever we want to change job, whenever we want to relocate, whenever we want to critically think about choosing a school, or choosing a school for our child or for our own selves, when we want to make a career choice, education choice, when we want to select our partner. We do this. It's just that those components we not brought into awareness. That is why it is not working as a step by step process. We directly jump in because there is a need for you to decide. But if you're practicing on a day to day basis, these steps will let you know very logically, you will arrive at that situation. Very calmly, effortlessly, you can question anybody. No jitter, no anxiety. You don't have to fear for anything because you've worked on these steps. For example, you know what is a negative outcome, you know what is the risk involved in it, and you know the impact of it. You will know the potential consequences, whether it is going to be monetary, time, effort, resources, building, bridge or burning the bridges. You will exactly know, and then develop mitigation strategies. What is the backup plan? Creating plan to address or minimize this risk. You can either choose to burn the bridges or just politely say a no and move on. That is also possible. So it is not, all these steps is not a big thing that you have to apply only when the all those words like mitigation and all that is not only working for an entrepreneurial person, or it is not important only for high stake professionals. It is equally important for our daily life transactions. And we are doing it anyway. It's just that I've brought few words here. But if you are able to bring this awareness in you, whenever you want to take an informed decision and you want to develop critical thinking, go back to this episode and come to these strategies and see which one can you help. And the best part to see, not to overburden with this learning skills, it is ideal for you to practice the skill in within 24 hours time. Now that you've watched this episode, within 24 hours, if you can apply this in your life, it is very much possible. You don't need problem to do exercise this skill. You just have to approach this skill for anything near you, and then you will see, okay, then it registers in your mind. So the moment it is hot from, pretty hot, and it is right from fresh from the oven, then it is easy to rewire. After you leave 1 or 2 days, then it becomes diluted, and you coming back to the same session and reading, it's not possible, right? That is why I said it's a quick thing, mini guide for moms. So learn it, register your learnings as comments below. After that, reinstate it, then you apply it. And then you're going to evaluate alternatives. Remember, we said not just spotting the red flags, it is also important to strategically move, right? By generating options. Without creating multiple options, it is not possible for you to take an informed decision, because we are all arriving at to take a smarter decision. All these components are letting you build that bigger competency called decision making skills. So what you have to do in order to generate multiple options, you're going to brainstorm, right? With in the problem itself, you're going to brainstorm. If you have people around, if it involves with people, it's better to brainstorm. Even in your family, right? Your own situations. In my family, we have this healthy habit of stating our problem statement, whether it is business, work, or personal fears, insecurities. Okay, we will put the problem statement, and there will be my daughter, my husband. Sometimes I even discuss this with my parent, pull in their perspectives. Our friends, like close friends who can understand our life and who have been with us. So sometimes I put this across to my community students. because we're all in the same line of life and business. So a lot of perspectives will come across. And it is right now possible with AI itself. ChatGPT will give you a lot of options. And sometimes you need to back that up with enough reasoning, because you just cannot go with the AI thing. But when it is coming from people, it comes from their own experience. That also you will have to question whether it is suitable for you or not. Just because you had gone and asked, just because it's your father, you'll have to listen, or just because it's your husband, you'll have to listen. No. It's the same thing for your child. Just because it is coming from a parent like you and your husband, not necessarily that he or she should take it. She should question, he or she should be able to question that and apply that, whether it is needed, relevant for their school atmosphere or not, or for their career or not. But what essentially is being done here is creating options, perspectives, and then we will be able to compare the pros and cons. Okay, strengths and weaknesses of each option, and then choosing wisely, selecting the best alternative based on these analysis. How many of you are with me? Are you already doing this? I'm sure all of us are doing this, but it's just that we are not aware of it, or somebody who's not getting into that mode of the decision making skills is still a problem in someone. Please go through the steps. Okay, it is not rocket science. It is just that you have to apply this and see whether it's working for you or not, and then it becomes a habit in you. Then important is thinking long term, considering the future impact. That is where you are thinking. Then why otherwise why think? You just anybody can spontaneously act and impromptu decisions. Just imagine we're all driving, we cannot think through where is the signal is coming, and whether the person is honking or not. Why are they even honking? What is wrong with us? Nothing is thought through. We just go blindly wherever we want to go. We'll just take a rapid turn. Wherever we want to brake, we'll brake. Okay, that's not how we drive, and there is an impact to it. Similarly, any decisions will affect long-term goals if you're not thought through. So balancing the short-term gains with that of long-term goals is important. That is when you can plan strategically, thinking the considering the other support, sustained success, which is going to support a sustained success. And then challenging the conventional wisdom. You're going to question the norms, the rules that has been laid. Especially the education system is and political system is not being able to get reformed, because we understand there are certain things which has been earlier done and tested. But then decades have passed, pandemics have happened, world has changed, AI has come, disruptions have happened, our mindset is expanded, social media has taken over our world and homes. There's another person, there is another arm, called mobile. We constantly have this in our hand. So there's a third arm created out of nowhere. That too, everything happened in the previous hours, so, in the previous years. So where are we considering all that? And what about the generational gap? So the time that we were born, the way we were brought up is not the same with our children, right? So we need to address these gaps and question that. Don't accept that's how it's always been done. It's not an answer. That is the reason I put it here. Even for me, as a parent, as an individual, as a citizen of our nation, I have also evolved. Earlier, in my, I think, 20s or 30s even, I was never interested in politics. But right now, it's highly important for me. Even though I'm sitting in the other part of the world, I am pretty curious about what's happening to my nation. I'm patriotic at heart, whichever part of the world I am. The transaction that happens here, I always, try and compare why our nation is not able to be at that spot. Sometimes I get proud of my own country, thinking of the situations over here. I get proud because that aspect of, questioning that assumption and bias was deeply ingrained, that we constantly look at evidences, we can compare, right? We are able to think through and then able to take decisions. But then remember the barrier. This is even more trickier time that there's no certainty. It's only assumptions and biases that we are working on. But for you to get into action, we have seen many case studies. So that is the reason case study is the best part, where you can just model those people, how they were able to question. It could be, a few decades before, but for them, it was new. It was challenging for them. Then seeking innovation, look for creative solutions to old problems, or solve the existing problems which you think is unsolvable. Elon Musk, people like him, they are getting into projects where they know they cannot succeed. Their chance of succeeding is only 30%. They know for sure 70% they will fail. Imagine, how much they should have questioned the assumptions and the conventional systems. And they're trying to be creatively working on bringing that success to 70%, if not 30%. Right? So it is important to look at them and follow their trends, and understand what is their traits which is helping them to be this way. Embracing uniqueness, differentiating yourself by thinking outside the box. You may be different. It's okay to be unpopular. It's okay to be really different, but not weird. Different and unique is different, right? Rather than being weird, you will have to blend in where it is needed. You will have to go with majority. You will have to have the priority of nation more than your family, more than anything. Your family has to come and the nation has to come. Your decision has to be surrounded by that. Even a school going kid has to be taught this. Am I right? Only then you can question the conventional systems and then create new ones. Learning from past mistakes. This is a right brain reflecting past decisions and their outcomes, identifying patterns, and then adjusting the strategies. Case study, my favorite section and my favorite personality, Steve Jobs. He can be synonymous to this skill, right? Questioned conventions. That is why he created revolutionary products. He just challenged the industry norms in tech design and functionality. He challenged his own company. That is why he was forced to, you know, he was forced to get out of his own company. And then only by questioning, even they realized, and then they pulled him back. And he created a revolution in the industry. Innovative product, creating groundbreaking devices like iPhone, iPad, and disrupting the market, right? And it is sustainable right now. Stable products, unbeatable, upbeated, constantly upgraded. That is why they can sustain in the market like a tech giant. So his quote for you is, your time is limited, so don't waste it by living in someone else's life. This emphasis thinking for yourself and avoiding common traps. Critical thinking in different fields is also important. Business, analyze market trends, evaluate risk. In short, education, develop curriculum, assess learning outcomes. If the outcome is not relevant, is not reaching, or it's not intentional, it's not successful for what you're setting that entire thing, then it is not the one. So you might have to question that. Change will take time, but questioning can happen, can constantly happen. Healthcare, diagnose conditions and plan treatments. There's a huge lot of innovation. In fact, disruptions is happening in healthcare itself. And pandemic, the world itself is equipping our healthcare industries to move forward. What about our education? What about our political system? And about technology, with the help of technology is where business and healthcare is booming, because it is helping us solve complex problems and innovate products. Now, tools for critical thinking is mind mapping. Okay, you can if you are with Apple products, MindNote can help you. Windows, there's also different kind of mind mapping tools available. Checklist. Checklist is the best tool for me. Apple Notes are the best tool for me, right? Without templates, without checklist, I cannot operate in my business or my work. Pros and cons, weighing advantage and disadvantages. It should be a skill, part of your skill. And decision trees, okay, map out potential outcomes of choices also. Again, mind mapping or brainstorming, it helps in brainstorming. The future of critical thinking, we may think that it is needed for now. No, it is also important for future, because AI integration is going to come. It's already disrupted. It is important to integrate technology into our business, our work, organization, nation, political, government, industry, healthcare, manufacturing, and even family. education for that matter. Here, the childrens are doing their homework, assignments, communication, everything happens in laptop right now. It'll get progressive, it'll not reduce. So we'll have to adapt. And global changes, applying critical thinking to solve complex worldwide issues. Elon Musk, he solved the problem where he's bringing the rocket. Most of the rockets either land on the sea or just burst off. He's bringing the rockets which goes outside the Earth orbit, landing correctly in the mother wing of his company. So he's creating that kind of innovation. He's making the uh, conventional setup of NASA also. He's questioning the NASA, biases and their uh, theories behind why not making this happen. Very recently, he has made it a prototype. So that's a classic example. Continuous learning, adapting critical thinking skills to rapidly changing environments. That is equally important. Imagine people landing on moon or going to Mars, making sure that we have another planet to stay. All these are all future thinking, right? And then how do you develop? In short, practice curiosity, ask questions, and seek new information regularly. Even though we are overloaded with, information, but it is important to practice that curiosity. Why are you seeking that? Just not for doom scrolling, rotting your brain. It is to curiosity creates the right side of the brain. It keeps it active. Our life, our mind got expanded when there was no gadgets. We had our own advantages when we were at school and teenager and college times. We were not distracted like this. So we had the entire life was the childhood was built out of curiosity. Our right brain was constantly active, even though we were just memorizing and making sure our exams were taken care. But right side was kept active with our own, natural abilities. Okay, thanks to our parents, thanks to our associations outside, if not school. The extracurricular activities in school were also very less. But we figured out because we didn't have distractions like this. Right now, extracurricular activities could be there, your parents could be there for you to support. You will have a lot of options for you to create and develop your brain skills, but you're not willing. You know why? You're distracted. Social media is only rotting your brain, whether it is logical or right brain, creative. It is only rotting. It is highly important to be away from the distractions to be able to naturally activate your right brain and left brain. And analyze arguments. Whenever there is an argument, make it a healthy habit of, brainstorming and discussing both the sides, having a neutrality, arriving at a win-win. Or sometimes we don't have to. We just agree to disagree and move on. But you need to have this questioning habit and analyzing and, argumentatively, but objectively, not subjectively, seeking diverse perspectives. By then, when you are doing this healthy, discussions at home, at work, if you can develop that consensus, environment, that will develop multiple options. That will boost the morale of the team. They will be open and they will be owning that. They will create that ownership. They will hold responsibility because if their option is worked out, they will get confident. They will display the leadership. Okay, it could be tricky that people are not if their options are dismissed, if their solutions are dismissed. So you'll also have to communicate it accordingly. It's the same case with family. It could go subjectively, especially with politics and all that. It can go take any different angles because we will not be able to question our own bias and assumptions at that point of time. So it's very tricky subjects. Okay. Reflect on experiences, learn from success and failures, not just within from us, also from others. We'll have to be able to, assess the trends with the company's failures, the project failures, or the team failures, and also the individual, and then correct it before we get into the next pitfall. There should not be any repeated pitfalls at all. Now tell me, having said this, you really want to know whether you have this talent or not, right? For which I have a way for you. There is an awareness quiz bundles that I'm offering for those people who are highlighting there just top 3 insights, whatever you've learned in this episode, in the comments below. Okay. I'll pick up that person and I will give it to you 100% free access to you. If you go and access this awareness quiz bundles in general in my website, it's going to cost you. But I'll give it to you for free of cost because one, you have listened to my episode in YouTube, you've watched my episode in YouTube, and you've also been listening to my podcast. That means something for me. You are sincere to grow. That really means something to me. If you can register your insights, I will know who is watching my show and who is ready to learn and practice. I will reward that person. I'll pick that person when there is an freebies like this, resources like this. It is ideal to make use of it. It is not only going to help you test your critical thinking skills, it is also going to give you 30 to 40 skills, whatever we will be discussing in this 100 days, all that coming to you free of cost. You can practice that as many as times that you want. In fact, I will renew those question format every 6 months, which means you will get fresh questions of all these skills. As and when we complete it, we will be renewing it and it is coming to you lifetime access. You can either share it with somebody, but you need to let me know whether they have registered their insights or not. So they will have to get into these episodes and register their insights. So only then they can earn it. Okay. Not just that. If you want to learn more about critical thinking as a brain talent, if you really want to know whether it is already in you, okay, not just critical talent. There are about 18 brain talents and 30 to 40 EQ skills we will be discussing. If you really want to take a report, and I don't want you to, assume that you already have, because I also did this. Before I took this report, I thought I'm a very, emotionally driven person. But what I understood was I need data points. That is the reason my critical thinking is a top talent. So I could understand that I thought my thinking is only emotional brain. No, thinking for what? So is it thinking for emotion insights related or thinking for logic? Either ways, data, but your brain styles are different. So it'd be fun and interesting to see what brain style is yours and what are the top talents. Okay. In this workshop, in this masterclass, I will be opening up 3 secrets to approach brain styles in a particular person. Okay. And I will also give you a sample report to show you this is how your report will look like. But I won't be able to prepare a report for you on that masterclass because it's a free masterclass and the report needs a charge. But I'll tell you how you can get that report coming to you at a very, very economical way. Okay. But that is also coming as a reward for those people who jump onto my masterclass. And it's a free masterclass only for women, only for busy moms. Okay. Even if you're a young mom or expecting mother, do jump in as long as you know you can work on your left brain and right brain skills. You can become a better parent. You can become a better team manager. You can equip yourself to be a successful leader. Or you can also become a successful entrepreneur using emotional intelligence skills. Okay. I'll be more than happy to see you. There's a link given in the description for both awareness quiz bundles and my masterclass. Just register in that and you will get to know when it is happening. Jump in. I'll be more than happy to see you in person there. Okay. Meaning on Zoom. Let me know in the comments when you meet me on Zoom. You tell me which episode you watched and then how did you get into it. I'll be more than happy to connect with you. Otherwise, engage in all the other platforms because I'm subscribed to my YouTube channel if you have not already done, so that you will get notified whenever I'm jumping on online. And then there is a podcast happening in Spotify, subscribe to that. And there is a article coming to you in a Spotify format to help you learn emotional intelligence skills and help you practice that in Substack. Subscribe for that also. Until I see you tomorrow with another skill wider and deeper. Stay resilient, stay emotionally intelligent.